Everyone knows chrysanthemums are a short day plant. And what we know about this is the short day plants have different response groups. So there is a garden mums are the shortest response groups, but what is a response group? That's the time from the induction until you have open flowers. This is that window of how long does it take to get them to bloom. So garden mums are classified 5 to 7 weeks, pot mums 8 to 10 weeks. I'm sorry, that should say cut mums, not garden mums. Cut mums are 11 plus weeks. Floral initiation, less than 13 hours for a 10-week response group. And then you basically have a little bit of playtime. They'll respond if you get a garden mum, they'll initiate under a little bit, like about 11-hour photoperiod day length. So it does change a little bit depending upon which response groups. The key take-home message is it takes 14 to 28 short days to get induction completed. So people want to know, how long do I need to pull the short day cloth? Well, you have to do it a minimum of 14 days. Better yet, go out to 4 weeks, 28 days to get the maximum benefit of that short day. After that, they're induced. You can do it. If you go and you pull, basically, you're growing them in the summer, the garden mums, and you only give them 14 days, and you pull it too early, you might basically end up with crown buds forming, and that, of course, we all know is bad. One of the interesting things about chrysanthemums, and you see this in a number of short day plants, is that they're very sensitive to temperatures less than 65 degrees. They're basically less than 65 degrees, they initiate flowers. This is why when we have this cool night temperature snap in July, the last week in July, basically you end up with early flowering mini mums. Whereas if it's hot during the last week in July, basically it delays initiation until we get to August when the days are definitely short, and then you get big mums. And if you get a lot of hot weather in the end of July and first part of August, you end up with monster mums that are really delayed. So really that critical night temperature is which triggers less than 65 degrees. You promote flowering regardless of photoperiod. And if the night temperatures are greater than 80 degrees, that you inhibit flowering. So that's why when you're using black cloth, it's important that you open it up in the middle of the night after the sun is set to relieve that temperature so that you don't cook them underneath the plastic, or better yet, use a bilayer where there's white on the top of the plastic and black on the underside so that it reflects the heat and it doesn't build up heat underneath the black cloth. So night temperatures are very important because you can delay initiation. Remember, once the plants have induced, you can continue development under long days. Poinsettias, we're going through that right now. The response, there are different response groups. They're not as defined as in chrysanthemums. They're basically early flowering, mid-season, and late. And that's really of when they are responsive to the photoperiod and how long it takes for those bracts to develop. Floral initiation occurs when the day length is less than 10 hours. But remember, if you have increased temperatures or decreased day length, it can change the actual day of initiation. So we kind of have this broad period of time when initiation is, and they're very sensitive to light, so we really need to make sure that we don't have any stray light in there. 16 to 25 short days are required to complete induction. So if you're pulling black cloth, basically you run it out about 25 days and then you can stop pulling black cloth and they should just continue developing right straight through. Remember, just like in chrysanthemum, night temperatures above 80 degrees do inhibit flower initiation. Now, I want to mention just an interesting plant that, because zinnias, they pretty free flowering, but a lot of times people call and complain, my flowers aren't double, and this is on the elegans. Flower initiation, and there's florets. These are the actual petals. Notice in the picture we have the ray florets, these are the petals, and the disc florets, notice that's that center that has no petals. It's just, these are two different types, the male and female flowers. If you have less than 10 hours, and you have 5 short day cycles, that's enough to induce them. If you have more than 12 hours, you basically end up with petals versus the disc florets. So if you take a look at if you've been watching your plants as you've gone through the season, and you see during this early spring, you have lots of petals, and then you basically start going to the middle of the summer, you got all of these disc florets showing up, and the petals, they're not as nice, they look a little ratty looking. And then all of a sudden we get into the fall and they look good again. And that's just because there's differentiation of the flower type on a composite, depending upon if you're in long or short days. Another plant that we have a lot of problems getting is cosmos. People say, I need to keep these smaller. How do I do this? Well, it's very important that you give them a good short day. Anything less than 14 hours. So if you can get them even less than 12-hour day, you're basically going to be able to get them into flower, and they will be shorter. And you have to do that from the very beginning, right after the cotyledons unfold. You need to get them under short days to basically induce them as fast as possible. And as this picture clearly shows, growing them from seedling stage in short days, you end up with short, compact plant that basically is flowering vigorously. But if you had it under a night interruption, which is a long day, basically they're tall and weedy. So once they start flowering, they're good to go, but you got to get them flowered.